Where to begin? So, yes, there's a whole bunch of RTXs sitting on my desk for no real reason at all. Just, anywho, getting ready. So, in 2010, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this out for a second. Because of there. The landing pads weren't round yet in 2010. 2011 was the very first brick fet, so that is 15 years ago. And 2010 is when the tower started. So, but 2011 brick fet, and oh, that's still good. But the landing pads were basically glorified octagons at that time. I used those, not these guys, but the other wing plates to surround the landing pads. So they were very light. I didn't have to worry about it too much. This came out a year later. But so the landing pads are old because they've been going about 15 years now. The observation deck, basically the entire tower as it is now. I think it was 2011 or 2012 when I made the cake topper, the very, very tip of it. And I don't think I added the repair bay at that point. I think that came later. But overall, the tower, and again, if you've been watching these YouTube videos and been bored by me droning on a lot, you know that I've added a new layer here and changed things up. And now the landing pad's out farther. So, considering that I have so many things to get ready for tomorrow. Considering that the layout as it is, okay, so the tower part was basically solidified in 2011, 2012, so it's 14 years ago. The layout itself kind of went big, 7.5 by 18. It was small, 10 by 10. It was various sizes as to what I was doing at the time and the time I wanted to put into it. So I'm talking about the layout specifically with the tower. Jeff's monorail train station was there for much of that. His habitat, his air processing station, which showed up before the tower and was there after the tower. But as soon as I consolidated the entire layout down to 7.5 by 5, which has got to be over 5, 6, 7 years ago now. I think it's it was a brick fet 2016, 2015. Yeah, probably 2015, 16, 17, 18 to now. So at least 10 years now with the established layout that I have now. Where the monorail track and the habitat and the launch pad. So 10 years of that. So 15 years with the tower, at least 10 years with the current layout as it is. And I just keep on adding details. As I say, I'm not changing the layout, like the tracks and all that stuff, because it's perfectly easy to set up, and I got the whole thing memorized in my head now. I don't even know where my work notes are, so sorry, Jeff. Can't help you. But thank you. And I've been going along pretty good. So 15 years of doing a space layout with the tower, because the tower is big and it takes up a lot of room. Transporting, storing, and setting up. It takes a lot of work and effort to set that tower up. More than the okay, it's if we were to use the 2-hour window that I've set the layout out, I think I've done it once an hour and 45 minutes. A lot of that time is the monorail track. But the monorail track is not hard to set up. There's just a lot of monorail. So there's no oh, this is so hard to set up the monorail. This is actually pretty easy. But there's a lot of it, and it takes some time. The most difficult part of setting up the layout is putting the tower together. Straight up. It is difficult because the pieces are awkward, because they're big pieces sometimes, and there's at least 15 or up to 20 now, I would imagine, 20 parts to the tower to put together. And you have to put it together in a way. And if you've been at any of the shows that I've done and you've helped me put the show together, you know that at some certain point, there is a time that I need help putting the tower together and taking it down. And that is because the landing pads, where they are. So again, there's between every layer, there's no studs holding it together. But this kind of rests on top of each other, like stacked blocks. The landing pads, when you put one on, it's of course lopsided. It's heavy on one side, so you have to be ready to put the other side on. So you do this one and this one, then that one, then that one. You need somebody holding on to the tower when you're doing that. Somebody has, because if I put the landing pad on and I go, it's gonna fall over and smash. This is where the story's going. I had learned a long time ago that if I get 3 of them on and the top and the cake topper and the observation deck, because the observation deck is full of brick and it's pretty heavy, that the center tower is heavy enough with 3 of the landing pads on that you can let it go and it won't fall over. But there was a proviso to that. Of course, now the landing pads are out farther because that's what I did. So 2 nights ago, Thursday night, today's Saturday, so 2 nights ago, Thursday night, I was getting ready for the show in Montreal, and the show is focusing on lit up mocks, which this would be perfect for, in my whole opinion. But my issue is that for 15 years I've been setting this thing up and taking it down, setting up, taking it down, at least 3 or 4 times a year, and there's a lot of wear and tear and a lot of things not working and blah blah. So I took it upon myself to test and fix some of the lighting issues with the tower, especially because the tower is there's 200 LEDs in it. So it's like, it's a stupid number of LEDs in it. I don't know if it's 200, but it's over 100 for sure. And the EL wire, and of course it has to come apart, so you have to be able to disconnect it. Anyway, so some of the zones were not working at all, so I took it apart, fixed what I could, blah blah, and I was testing it Thursday night. It was working overall, but 2 landing pads were not lighting up, and I was just, okay, I'll go look at that. So I took it down and I put it back up, fixed the issue, and I'm putting the tower up Thursday night. And Sandy is we're watching whatever TV show or whatever we're watching on TV, and she's sitting there, and historically she has helped me put the tower up because I need somebody holding it. But I went on the proviso that this time, because it's just going to be very quick, very temporary, just to see the lighting works, that I put 1, 2, 3 on, because I can hold on to the tower and I still have the other lighting pad in my head. So I put, say for example, when I'm putting this guy on, I'll put my hand on top of the tower and I'll just walk to the other side and put the other one on, so holding it there, so I can have these 2 on, and therefore it's balanced. You can let go now; it's not going to fall over. And then I go grab this one and this one, right? And so I put this one on, and it was heavy enough with everything on it that it's not going to fall over. I was walking around the other side, put the other landing pad on, and I'm just about reaching down to put the landing pad on, and the thing went, and it was slow-mo, I'll say that, but again, I have no ability to react quickly to anything. I am a slow-moving sloth type thing. I do not have the instant reaction that other people have. My brain was processing it, moving, and I said, oh, I should reach out and start grabbing it, but then it was already over. Smash all over the floor. Now, there was, again, a few things that caused that, including the landing pads that were off. But it wasn't moving when I let go, and I let go, and it's like, it's not doing anything. So I start walking around, and all of a sudden, poof. The new layer that I built, the new small mini landing pads that I built, that thing, I had changed it the day before on Wednesday, and this is what I wanted to test. I changed it the day before because, of course, because up until now I never had to light the thing since I built that new layer. the wires have to go through that layer. They go from here up to here. You have to get the wires through it. And I was trying to find a good way of doing it. So I rebuilt that little tiny layer, the 15 brick tall layer, so I could put the wire through the middle, which is good, right? So you don't see the wires on the outside and blah, blah. And in the process of doing that, because I had to hollow out a spot for the wire to go, that made that module weak in that corner. And so the wires go up to one corner all the way from bottom to top, and it's the back left corner, so nobody sees it. and so that's where the weak spot was. And of course, this is where I was actually going over here. This is the landing pad I was going to put on. Oh, sorry, backwards. This is the landing pad I was going to put on. So the heavy weight, the offset weight that these two landing pads were on, this one was on. This one I was going to put on landing pad number 4, and right here there's a weak spot on that one layer, and so I would imagine it was a confluence of whatever, perfect storm, that it was just too much weight, and it started just going over. So also my fault. So 2 things were my fault, and the third thing that was my fault was just not asking Sandy to help. I didn't ask. She shouldn't have to volunteer that, because she's seen me put this tower together numerous times, and when I do need help, I ask. And she so to be said, the base wasn't broken. The monorail station wasn't broken. It was everything above that fell right over. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been. It fell towards the dining room table, and the dining room table caught the cake topper, like the cake topper and the top of the cake topper, the mesa, and it fell on top of the dining room table, so it didn't have that whole momentum to smash on the floor. And so those things were pretty salvageable right off the bat. They were broken, but not terribly broken, so that was great. The landing pads all had damage. The landing pads were all askew. But they're still pretty easy to fix. Landing pads were pretty easy to fix. The diamond, which I had just finished rebuilding, I didn't take the whole thing apart, but I was rewiring it to fix it, to get the landing pads lit up, because that's what the issue was. The top of the diamond was smashed again, but the bottom was basically intact, so I just had to build the top again. So the diamond did not take me that long to fix. There was some effort. That was the second longest. The entire ring, the entire observation deck, was completely obliterated. It was just because there's a lot of parts. It's very heavy. It's the top of the tower that hit. So that took the longest. That took me all day today. Well, I woke up this morning. So I fixed basically everything last night, or 2 nights ago. Yes, Thursday night it happened. I had 2 things fixed before I went to bed. Friday after work, I came home, worked on it some more. And Friday night, I finished the diamond, which is fantastic. And today, this morning, I woke up at 8, and I wasn't done until 1 or 2 for the observation deck. Basically, I rebuilt it from scratch. It just took whatever was apart. The parts that I didn't have to take apart, I didn't take apart, but I basically, and I realized that I put far too much effort into detailing the observation deck on the interior that was very, very, greebled, and I'm going, that's gone. 2x4 bricks on the interior now, just to hold it together. Now, I was going to get rid of the corridors, the interior, because again, in universe, the minifigs have to be able to move around. And I said, why am I doing that? I just want to make sure it's strong, and but I actually left the corridors in there so the minifigs can still in universe move around. Because that's what I do. But it was much simpler now, much fewer pieces, basically 2x4 bricks. And then I rebuilt the new layer, the new little mini pad, landing pad layer, to make it strong on all 360 degrees of it all the way around, and still have room enough to put the wire through. So that's what I did today. I fixed those 2 things, and of course I just set it up 2 hours ago, right before dinner, and turned it on and made sure it was working. Now, there are outages in the tower, and I'm going to apologize in advance for the show. A couple landing pads were not lighting up, and I just don't have the wherewithal to redo the wiring. Most of the wiring was completely intact. Thank you. But I had to do some soldering for some of the wires, and I made things better and easier and quicker. I went around wherever there was a LED that was working, I replaced it or whatever, but I could not get 2 landing pads lit up, and I should know why. I really have to redo all the wiring in the diamond completely from scratch, make it better, make it more durable, whatever. But the EL wires all work. All 4 landing pads are connected to the same EL wire stream, but the 1x1 trans red and trans green are not lit up on 2 landing pads, and I can't worry about it. so that was my last 3 days. Now, what I wanted to do since Thursday night was do the other stuff that I had to fix. Like, I can guarantee right now none of those trains are going to work. That's why it's going to work on Thursday, Friday, and today, is to get the trains working, because they ran at the Brick Shack for 6 months, and they've been running everywhere else for longer than that. That they weren't working at the end, and I meant to get those fixed, and I just haven't had a chance because I'm too busy putting the tower back together. And we're leaving tomorrow. So I'm bringing the parts and pieces to make the trains work, and I'm gonna be working, hopefully fixing in the hotel room before the show. What I want to talk about, so when I took apart the new mini landing pad layer the first time, and this is what happens. I broke this brick, a 4x10. It's kind of sad because, again, they're getting old, brittle. So and I think there's a few other, and people see these things. Here's the side of a 2x4 or whatever it was, because when I was taking it apart, the 70s pieces just kind of disintegrate, which is kind of sad. So basically the tower is going to stay together as it is, unless it falls over again. Today, and I'll show you this, the maximum damage of actually broken brick today, considering it fell over, is I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically 1 or 2 1x4 hinge plates were broken that I had to replace. So I'm going to classify that as a huge win for me. I am more than impressed that that's all that broke. Like, I can't even understand that. I was expecting many broken pieces, because it hit the floor and went. I think one of my few saving graces on that is that this was a temporary setup. I did not put the locking mechanism between the Technic beams that hold the landing pads on, because the landing pads came off the tower exactly where they're supposed to when I take the thing apart. Had I put the connectors, the locking mechanism there, I think the diamond would have been completely disintegrated. I think the diamond would have been completely smashed, because the Technic bricks will win out over studs against any day of the week. So that was a saving grace. I'm gonna say that. But yeah, and Sandy was like, so here's the bigger thing. It fell over, smash, Thursday night. I'm looking at it, and I'm going, I don't have to bring it now. I'm just gonna call Montreal and say, this thing smashed on the ground. I can't bring it because it's Thursday and we're leaving Sunday. So there's no way I'm gonna have this fixed between now and Sunday. So I looked at it. Sandy goes, and she goes, oh no, what are we gonna do? And I said, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm gonna sweep it up, put it in a bin, and just go to the show. I'm gonna bring my little modern moving art thing, and that's it. And that'll be. I was remarkably not upset that it smashed. I will say that I'm amazed right now to this date that 15 years, and this is not the first time it's broken accidentally. There was one time when I first built the tower back in 2010, 2011, where it was right here in this room, and Josh was all of 6 years old, or younger than that. So yeah, he was up here on top of the desk, so he was 2 or 3, and he fell into the box. Because the whole tower, the whole center of the tower was in a wardrobe box, 4 feet tall wardrobe box. It was right here, and he fell in, and it went from 4 feet down to 6 inches instantaneously. And I rebuilt it modular. Then see, that's what I learned, how to make it in levels instead of having the one center tower as one piece. So Josh got a little scratched up, but since then I've had no major and or minor disasters. Like the trains have fallen off, because the trains always fall off. I got the plexiglass, so the trains have less chance of falling off due to I don't know. We didn't touch it. It was just underground. I've had that layout running for 15 years now. And when you go to a show and people are respectful and don't touch it, it's amazing how the trains don't fall off not once, the entire show. And then when, you just turn your back and there's a 6-year-old there, oh, it just fell off, I wasn't touching it. Now, I had trains fall off because somebody put a Lego squirrel on the track. I won't mention names. I thought it was fantastic. But again, but it just falls down. If it falls off the edge, then it's a bigger mess because it smashes on the ground. But the very last show we did, Anime North, somebody comes running up. Oh, this thing fell off. And I'm going, that thing has literally never fallen off ever by itself. Oh, nobody was touching it. I was over there and it fell. Anyway, I'm not going to accuse anybody. Again, I don't want to. There's an old timey expression that might not be apropos in the 21st century, but I don't want to get my knickers in a knot over this stuff. I don't. I've broken things myself. I've broken expensive things myself. There are accidents. I don't do it maliciously or on purpose, but I have accidentally done some really expensively damaged stuff. Damaged some really expensive stuff. And nobody got like, oh, Dave, rah, 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 F-bombs here, F-bombs there. It's part of life. And so for me, I think about, oh yeah, what do we do now? And try to make sure it never happens again. Now, to be said, I will never ever guarantee that this is not going to happen again. I'm trying to figure out now in my head, logistically, considering all the changes that were made for the last year to the layout or to the tower, how I'm going to put the tower together when it's not sitting on the floor, because right now it's going to be up on the boxes. And so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that, because when I'm looking down, it's easy to fix than when I'm putting it together than when I'm looking up. So I will figure it out at the show next weekend, how I'm going to put this thing together. I'm gonna need a step stool or something. I'm gonna probably use the boxes and standing on top of the boxes, because it is pretty high. But in the end, I've literally ever been a person that will drop a profane exclamation when something bad like this happens. You break something, or get in an accident or whatever. I'm too busy dealing with the fallout of the accident or whatever's going on to get my emotional state agitated enough to drop an F-bomb. And that's what happened on Thursday night. Okay, it's here, it's on the floor, it's a mess. What do we do? And then we were very, very logical in our attacking it. Josh came downstairs because he heard it. It was a pretty, and Lego people know this sound. When, like, you drop 1 or 2 pieces on the floor, you drop 10 pieces on the floor, you drop a box on the floor, or you have a big mock that falls onto the floor and it is, I wish I caught it on film now that it's happened. It is not the best sound in the world. When I dropped on purpose the LL Destiny decades ago onto the carpet, That was different. If there's some really old YouTube videos of people when they used to have the speed builds at conventions where they were building the original ISD, and then they would take one and throw it over the foyer, and then go. It was like that. The good part is when it fell, all the pieces went that way, and they were kind of in layers going that way. So that made it pretty easy to separate the pieces from the diamond to the observation deck to the cake toppers. Well, the cake toppers were on top of the table anyway. What I found unique or odd is I have 2 windows left over. And I'm trying to figure out for the life of me where these windows were, because I went over the tower thoroughly, and I'm obviously missing something. So there's 2 windows. I didn't expect. Now these are the leftover pieces. I will say, because I rebuilt, as I say, from scratch, basically the entire observation deck, because I wanted to make it easier, cleaner, better, stronger. The outer edge looks exactly the same. Like I will say, right now, the layout, I mean, the tower looks identical that it did on Thursday night before I crashed over. I did not change any physical appearance of the tower at all. I didn't add 1 layer. I didn't add 1 brick. I didn't add. But what I did when I rebuilt it, especially the observation deck, I rejigged it that it uses a lot more basic brick than 1x1s, 1x2s, 1x3s. I couldn't believe how many 1x1, 1x2, 1x3s I put in there, just to have it some sort of, so like when you're inside, you would see like nice smooth walls or whatever, greebling, whatever. And I said, this is garbage. Like, why did I do this? Why did I do it this way? Now the entire center is built out of 2x4s, bricks, standard basic brick, because nobody's gonna see it. Like, nobody sees it. I had to the big part of the cake topper, the space ops. I had to basically, because it was sort of together and sort of not together, and the wires go from top to bottom and it's continuous, so you can't take the roof off of it. So I had to. That was a bit of a struggle to get that thing done because of the wiring that's inside of it. And I tried to make it so next time I can do that by putting little connector plugs in there, but I couldn't do it all the way through, so whatever. But I also got the Dremel out, and I was dremeling. I won't tell people the trans dark blue quarter or half rounds, but only the 4 high ones, not the 5 high ones that came in Space Place too. The 4 high 4x2 by 4 quarter or half round trans blue, dark blue curves, barrels, whatever. I did a lot of dremeling to make the wires run easier, because I was having such a tough time trying to fit the wires and the pieces together. I also in the internal top to bottom, the weight load goes all the way through the center of the tower now, and the wiring is easier and it's not as pinched as it was before. I do know that, and again, this is not at all a knock on life lights. This is what's going to happen. 15 years of running life lights in a layout that you take apart like 4 or 5 times a year. None of it broke. So the only wiring that broke is the wiring I daisy chained together myself. Like the life lights were all working perfectly fine. But I do find now, I think I have to find something. I don't want to redo all the wiring at all, because life lights has been fantastic for all these years. But there are some sections and lights that are out, and I don't want to take the thing apart to fix it. So there's that. That's my problem. So anywho, all said and done, I'm getting ready for the show. I am feeling remarkably good, considering that 2 days ago that tower was just smashed to pieces. And so, but because of those 2 days of me putting it back together, I did not get a chance to do the other stuff that I wanted to do to make the show better. So I just remembered that I had to come back down here and get the RCXs. I have to figure out which one's for which, because but I'm gonna bring them all anyway. But I am gonna bring train controllers, because if the RCXs aren't going to work, I'll just bring train controllers. But I'm going to put these in the laptop bag along with the IR tower and the laptop bag, and my laptop in the laptop bag, which is right there. And IR tower right there. Yay! And then when the show's done and we come back and we put everything in the garage, and I'm going to seriously tackle this room because it's disgusting me right now. I just thought about it now because my feet are resting on what I may do. I'm just thinking about this. What I may do. This is going to be something. I had a thought a long time ago. So I have 8 boxes, 8 wooden boxes. You've seen them. I have the 4 square ones and the 4 rectangle ones. But if you put the rectangle ones and square ones, they're side by side, they're all the same height. I had thought about this. Is like Dave St. Cyr, where the layout's on the ground, but for me would not be on the ground. So I would put the bed rails together on the floor. The bed rails would be on the floor. And then I would put build the layout on top of the bed rails, on top of the 15-inch on centers joists, and so you'd be looking down on it. Oh my goodness. And that would make my life a lot easier, because it would. And then what I would do is I would pile the wooden boxes behind the layout, and just put a black sheet over it. So that's what you would see. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that. I do not think I'm going to do that. So I think it's going to be the standard layout on top of the boxes, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm tired. I've been working on this thing for 2 days straight, and I'm just happy it's back together right now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to. Why is this thing here? Is this thing on? No. Put that over here. I'll bring this as a spare. But I'm going to figure out. I have to go pack. I haven't even got my packing done yet, which is not great. There we go. So I color code my RCXs. The blue one, the yellow one, and the red one, and I make the connector points the same. Too much. So that's it. 32 minutes already. That's it. That's all. I'm going to go to bed now. Everybody stay safe, take care, and I'm sure I'll upload videos from the show. I don't know when this is going to drop. I'm not sure where you are. Not sure. I'm going to be busy all week working, but we will talk more. So that's it. You guys all stay safe, take care, and I will talk to you soon.